Welcome back to the Hawkeye Garage. I'm Joe. You'll notice there's no cars in the garage this week, but there is a mountain bike frame hanging there in primer, ready for some paint, so stay tuned. If you've been around for the channel a while, you probably remember a video a year and a half, 2 years ago, longer than I care to admit, my giant full suspension 26-inch bike that I had. That I kind of rebuilt, modernized as much as I possibly could. And the goal was always to repaint that bike and resell it and move on. So I've been a little busy and it's been hanging in my garage and it hasn't gotten painted yet. We're to the point now where hopefully once actual spring hits, we're in fake spring right now in Iowa. If you live in the Midwest, you know what I'm talking about. Hence me taking advantage of the weather to do some painting. Hopefully this bike will fit my oldest daughter come spring. So instead of going full black, she decided to go with a slight OD green-ish color. It's a win in my book. And we're gonna paint this bike for her in hopes that it fits her. It should be a really good bike for her. Full suspension, lots of upgrades. I'll link the video at the end. You guys can go check out the build on that. But I'm doing the video because it's actually turning out better than I anticipated. Let's take a little bit closer look and then we'll do some actual painting. So here is the frame. I've got the triangles over there. This is not the bike from the bearing removal video, although I did use the same principles. The bike turned out way better than I thought it was going to. I had actually done quite a bit of work on this. It had cable guides and stuff for a front derailleur that this bike never was even available with. Kind of weird. I cut those off. It didn't come with a dropper post, obviously, because it's old. I went ahead and, yes, I cut a hole in it, and I have a grommet for it, if it'll focus, to run a dropper, and it's sanded up really nice. The primer came out really nice. I ended up just using Rust-Oleum. I don't know, to each their own on the paint. I don't necessarily love Rust-Oleum. It's really readily available at every store where we live. So I did some Rust-Oleum sandable primer, went with the black because I was going to paint it black. I was gonna put graphics on it, 2K, automotive grade, clear coat over it. But I've decided to just kind of simplify. We're going with that green color. She likes that color. I think it'll be an okay color for resale if it in fact doesn't fit her or when it's time to sell this. I'm gonna use the Cricut to cut some black graphics, some real simple giant stickers to put on the sides, and I'm gonna put it on top of the clear coat. You know, in that case, if she wants to change the color of the stickers, or whoever has the bike next wants to change the color of the stickers, they can. I'm just gonna go with a Rust-Oleum gloss clear. And let's be honest, that's still gonna be like 100 times better than the finish that this bike came with, the single stage white paint that like you could just rub off after being so old. So we've got it primed, cleaned, they're sanded. I used the red Scotch-Brite pads. I don't have one of those readily available. Those are great. You guys got to get those to kind of buff down your primer, get those kind of fiber dust nibs out of there. Wipe it down with some paint prep or some rubbing alcohol. Get all your hand oils off of there, as much dust and dirt and grease off of there, sanding dust as possible. And I guess now or never, let's throw some paint at this thing. Let's hope for the best. Yeah, if I was gonna do this again, knowing I was using this color, I would have gone with gray primer, but I guess this will just force me to put more coats of color on it, which will make the finish better. Seems to be sticking nice. I said I was using Rust-Oleum. Another, I don't know, piece of advice I can give you is pick a brand of paint that you're going to use for the project and stick with it. If you're going to use Rust-Oleum, Krylon, what is the Duplicolor, that's like the automotive brand or whatever, get the same brand primer, paint, clear, don't mix them. Theoretically they should mix together. Rust-Oleum is notorious for not mixing because it's a little bit, I don't know, is it oil based, is it acrylic, lacquer, whatever. It's a little bit more chemically aggressive than some of the other paints, so it will not play well. Try not to trip over my mic cord and try not to melt it on the heater. So let's keep putting some paint on and then we will skip ahead. All right, well, I've got the paint on. I've got a little bit of a makeshift spray booth set up here. I'm going to use Spray Max 2K Clear, which is pretty nasty stuff. Like, you actually have to pop the bottom of the can. It mixes chemicals. For all intents and purposes, it is actual automotive body shop grade clear, just in a can. And you know, like any spray can, it fogs and gets everywhere. So I'm just trying to keep it from completely ruining my garage. I got my little squirrel fan here to try and create a little bit of suction, pull air out. Not perfect, but better than it would be, definitely. Paint turned out pretty good. Sorry the lighting is not great in here for the camera at the moment. I had a couple little drips. Razor blade, 2000 grit sandpaper, knocked those down, touched them up a little bit. This has been drying for a couple weeks now. It's actually in the 60s here today. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray it. I was going to use, I think I mentioned earlier, Rust-Oleum Clear, but I did a test panel of that, and the Rust-Oleum Clear on top of the Rust-Oleum paint, which was on top of the Rust-Oleum primer, all wrinkled. So thanks for that, Rust-Oleum. But I see a lot of people on YouTube spraying cars with Rust-Oleum and then covering it with 2K Clear. These are dry right now, like several days dry. I should be able to spray right over that instead of giving it a wet coat and then respraying. Again, I've got a test panel and some extra paint. I'm gonna do a side-by-side test of flash dried, like 10-minute dried versus several days dried, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll work. I'm not gonna film while I'm painting, obviously, because I don't want my camera to get messed up. Wear a face mask, like a respirator. Keep yourself covered. It's pretty caustic. Well, I don't know if caustic's the right word. It's very aggressive paint. It's gonna get everywhere. It's gonna stick everywhere, and it's not gonna want to come off. So, wish me luck. Well, here is the finished paint, and you know what? It's not too bad. If I was gonna do it again, there's a couple things I would do differently. So I guess from the start, obviously prep is key, sanding, etc. Probably about 1.5 to 2 cans of primer. I've got about 1.5 in paint. I let the paint completely dry before I put the clear on, which you can do. The more common way of doing it is hitting your coats, 2 to 3 coats of color, about 10 minutes in between coats, and then go straight into clear coat. Same thing, 2 to 3 coats of clear, about 10 minutes. It's the flash time where it's not super wet. And I think maybe my clear would have adhered a little bit better. It's not gonna come up on camera, I don't think. It's got some fish eyes in it, and you know, it's not perfect, which these rattle cans of 2K Clear are really, really good, but they do have some shortcomings. The fish eyes is definitely one of them. You can't tell on the camera, but it's got some, I don't know if you can hear that, a little bit of rough where it kind of sprayed too much air through the can, not enough paint. And I think ideally, like if I really wanted to do an absolutely fantastic job on this, you're definitely gonna need 2 cans of clear to make sure that you get enough coverage. There's a couple spots where, like, I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, the frame itself, especially this top tube, is really smooth, really glossy, did a really good job. But there's a couple other spots that I didn't prioritize as much as the frame, like specifically underneath this chainstay protector is not quite as good. So I don't know. It looks great on video from what I'm looking on it now. My daughter loves it. As you can tell, it's definitely not fully put together, not even close. Basically, we just threw some parts on it because she wanted to see if she was gonna fit, and I think we're gonna be okay. It's still really early in the spring. She's growing like a weed as it is. So I think we're gonna be good. But I'm pretty happy with how it turned out overall. All right, well, I know that's kind of a different video from what you guys are kind of used to seeing from me, and it's kind of random, I know, but there's so many videos out there about, let me pick this camera up a little bit, repainting and refinishing bikes with rattle cans, but no one is using that 2K clear, and just regular old clear coat or paint. As soon as you knock this over in the grass, it's gonna be scratched. There is a massive difference. And you can get really good quality, much better lasting protection for not that much more. Can of Krylon's what, 10 bucks? Can of 2K clear off of eBay was 20. So it is double, but you're getting more than double the product quality and protection. Like I said earlier, that is a clear coat that's literally chemically mixed inside the can, like a 2-part epoxy adhesive. Like, this is hard. This is the same type of clear coat that is on your car. The same type of clear coat that's going to be on a bike from the bike shop, gloss anyway. So take, you know, what I did and go from there. Prep work, sanding, obviously is huge. Making sure the surface is clean. I probably should have used some paint prep, which you can get just about anywhere. I didn't have any. I used rubbing alcohol. It's okay, not great. Paint prep would have been better. Plenty of primer, sanding, plenty of color, plenty of clear. Tape off your any place where you're gonna have bearings, bolts, stuff like that. And yeah. Nothing else, my daughter's gonna love this bike, and we're gonna give it a whole nother lifespan of use. So, if you're new to the channel, I've been doing more mountain bike stuff as spring comes around. I've got more GX 470 stuff that I'm working on. They've got parts waiting, ready to go on, so I'll be doing videos about that. And yeah, give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, appreciate it. Videos drop every Sunday as much as I can. Follow the links in the description down below, or my Facebook and my Instagram. Post all of this stuff plus everyday life things as well. So until the next video drops, thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.